If you haven't tried it, why don't you? Go to Central Illinois' leading online source for local news, Police Blotter, for the record information, obituaries, and more on your desktop, laptop, iPhone, or smartphone. DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in this segment of the morning show is Caitlin Mellendorf. She's a nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt County. Sorry about that, Caitlin. I just got off the phone with the folks at the Logan, Menard, and Sangamon County Extension. So with that said, Caitlin, a good morning to you, by the way. How's summer treating you so far?
Good morning. Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's going to be a whole morning of extension, folks. It sounds like, at least for 2 segments. It is.
I didn't mean to plan it that way. It just kind of happened. But no, it's great and get a lot of different perspectives on extension. And in this segment, we talk a little bit about nutrition and wellness and those sorts of things. I know those are topics you and I enjoy catching up on. And with that said, Caitlin, let's dive into, it's only July 19th, and we're talking about school is still yet a month away, and the kids out there, they don't want to start thinking about school or anything like that. Parents, on the other hand, they are probably ready for the little ones to be getting back into the classroom and out of the house, out of their hair, and those sorts of things. So with that said, let's talk about meal planning as it relates to school getting back in session. We'll touch on things like lunches and meal programs and those sorts of things. What do you have for us today, Caitlin, as it relates to that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I know that the parents are probably starting to think about it, even if they don't want to. So today I just wanted to cover some recommendations around meal planning for your kids if they are taking meals to school, but then also kind of putting in a plug for school meals and some of the training that we in Extension do with schools to assist them in making sure that they have there's a lot of requirements from the federal level around meal planning for schools, but we're trying to help them a little bit, make that a little less complex. But let's start with planning the meals. And so I like to think of a couple of things. So it's going to be a consideration for your school as you're planning meals, packing them in a lunchbox, starting with any restrictions that the school has. So are you a nut-free school, or maybe just peanut specific that's not allowed? Some schools will, so that's going to vary school to school. So I'd recommend checking that as well first. Some schools may have a wellness policy that limits certain foods that families can pack, which might require a little bit of label reading on the part of the family and the parents to make sure that what they're packing meets those school wellness guidelines. But beyond that, packing things that your kid will enjoy, right? And I know there are so many stories of parents that will come back and look through their kids' lunchbox and like, a piece of this was eaten and a piece of that was eaten and the whole other sandwich was just still there. And that's okay. Kids, we know, don't have a lot of time when they're at lunch. And, we'd love to see that extended a little bit more. So that's something that we hope in the future will happen a little bit longer. But right now, meal times are pretty short. And for anyone who has younger kids, that they will take their sweet time eating because it takes a while. It's a process, right? You got to chew your food, you got to swallow it. So with that, packing foods that your kids like and enjoy is going to increase the odds that when you open that lunchbox at the end of the day, more of those foods are eaten. Also, just knowing that having your kids are going to, their hunger is going to vary too, right? So maybe they had a bigger breakfast, they weren't as hungry at lunch, that's all okay. So packing things that they enjoy is going to be a great start for that. This is not a time to introduce foods they've never seen before. So if they've never had cherry tomatoes in their lunch before, or they've never seen them at home, this is not the time to pop those in their lunch because they may open that and go, what the heck is this? They may need some modeling from mom, dad, grandma, grandpa to really accept that item. So just popping something new in their lunchbox is probably not a great success for them actually eating that food. And then in terms of the the speed of eating, right? So it may be helpful for especially your younger kids to kind of pre-cut some things. Now, it can be really fun for them to try and open a mandarin orange on their own. Those kiwi fruits are really nice and easy to peel, but that does add extra time for them at lunch. And so you may want to wait to let them practice peeling it at home during dinner when there's a little bit more time. But maybe for lunch, you want to pre-peel or pre-cut some of those things that are going to make it just a little bit quicker for them to start eating. Again, being mindful that they don't have a lot of time. And then here's the nutrition piece, which is having the general food groups. So the My Plate is the current food model. So you may be familiar with the Food Guide Pyramid, which is an older model. The My Plate is a circular shape, and it has 5 general food groups: fruits, vegetables, proteins, grain products, and I'll lump starchy vegetables in with that. So things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, and then dairy products. And so I recommend 3 to 5 of these food groups to make a nice balanced meal. So having protein is going to be a great one. It's going to fill your kids up, keep that hunger at bay for a little longer. Having a fibrous type of carbohydrate, so that could be things like whole grain breads, that could be things like pretzels to provide a little bit of that staying power and energy, and then some type of fat is going to be really helpful. So that could be a piece of cheese, that could be an egg, that could be peanut butter if your school allows nuts, or hummus would be a great one as well to add some protein. And then anything extra. Of course, I think every person, I know I'm a salty snack person, so like a bag of chips would be delicious for me. Some people are more of a sweet snack kind of person, so they want a little cookie in their lunch. If your school wellness requirements don't prohibit it, add that in there. That provides a little bit of that feeling of home, right? When you're at home, you might be able to get more access to those sweet things. So to have that as a treat for your kids in their lunch can be really nice. And then lastly is going to be the food safety piece. So if you want to have foods that would need refrigeration or need to be kept hot, use all of the equipment at your disposal to keep those foods hot, hot foods hot and cold foods cold. So that might be insulated lunch bags. If you're wanting to serve things hot like a soup, invest in a thermos. And then some tips with something like a thermos would be to boil some water, pour it in the thermos, close the lid, let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, unscrew the top, pour out that water, and then add that hot soup or whatever is hot in there, bring back the lid so it kind of keeps that extra heat. And then on the cold side, the insulated lunch bags are going to be awesome for this, as well as ice boxes, or if you want to freeze a bottle of water or a juice box and freeze that, that'll act as some cooling effect for your kids so that when they get to lunch, those foods are still food safe.
Very good. So a lot of good advice there on lunches, and it's reassuring, Caitlin. I never have thought about what we put in my kids' lunches, but it's reassuring that we're doing a lot of the things that you're talking about there as we catch up this morning. Again, Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, U of I Extension, with us here this morning. Caitlin, how about for those, if we're sending kids to school and they're eating the school-based lunches and such, and even the preparers of that food and those things, what do you have for us there?
I feel like school lunches and hospital food gets the most terrible rap of like all commercial foods. Like, you can go to restaurants and have good food, you can go to fast food and have good food, but you can't go to a hospital or a school cafeteria and have good food. I know they both have really bad reputation, but this is a really easy thing to do, right? You don't have to, if you want to take the lunches that your school is offering, it's a really great convenience thing that your school provides. So you as a parent or family member can get up, get your kids dressed, get them packed, and send them off for both breakfast and lunch provided, whether that is a free reduced lunch or you pay for it, or your school is a community eligibility provision, which means the entire school and sometimes the entire district have meals at no cost, regardless of income level, which is great. So that's a great thing to have. So maybe you want to do that a couple times a week. Maybe you want to do it all the time. That is great. And I think what is maybe surprising is that nutritionally it's meeting all the check boxes. So we're having all those things I talked about. We're having the fiber, we're having the protein, we're getting in color. So a lot of times with federally required school meal planning, all the different food group colors have to be met. So sometime during the week, there's going to be a green vegetable, and sometime during the week, there's going to be a red fruit. So we've got kind of that rainbow of fruit and vegetable colors, which are required throughout the week, which is really great to get a variety of different nutrients. And then we are doing training with school food service. I think I maybe mentioned earlier. So we are trying to get them to a place where they are able to maybe do either more from scratch cooking or a combination, like partial scratch is kind of what we call it, where they are creating foods that feel a little bit more like what I think a lot of people think of with really old school cooking with the ladies, the cafeteria ladies and the hairnets and the aprons and, really doing all that hard work cooking. So just know that you are meeting all the check boxes nutritionally for your kids. And I know COVID kind of threw a wrench in all of that with all the different variations on school lunches and school breakfasts, but make it fit your life. So if packing meals, planning meals for your kids is just too much, or for some families, it's going to just be easier, go for it. It doesn't have to be any type of stigma around this. We want our kids to eat. And if school meals are something that they have access to and will eat, then that's great. We're getting nutrition into our kids, and that's the goal.
Mm-hmm. Caitlin, you've brought a lot of good stuff to the table today. No pun intended. Where do folks go to learn more about everything you're talking about here? Perhaps programs or education opportunities as it relates to, healthy eating and healthy food preparation for our kids. Where do they find all that?
Yeah, so in terms of, I'll start first with our school meals. So if you want to see, even if you're not a school food service staff member and you want to kind of see what Illinois Extension is doing with school foods in K through 12, I invite you to look for ABCs of School Nutrition online. That's the program that we've called it. So ABCs of School Nutrition for Illinois Extension. And check out our website, see some of the trainings that we have going on. I've got one coming up here for K through 12 staff August the 4th in our Educator office. It's open to schools from any district. And in terms of, if you're looking for resources to plan meals, I recommend checking out our Extension blogs, which would be extension.illinois.edu/food for all things food related, including packing meals for kids and for adults if you're wanting to pack meals for your own lunches. So check those out. And yeah, it's getting back to school time, so we're getting prepped early.
Very good, Caitlin. Let's take a time out here. Come back with some more. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension in Logan. I did it again, in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties, with us here for this morning. More to come with her on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Having a hard time finding the correct new car, truck, SUV, or crossover to fit your needs? This is Scott Baum from Bob Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. Some lots look low on inventory, so go to our website, look at our pre-order and reserve tab. You'll see inventory in transit, which are built and on their way to Clinton, and in production, new Chevys and Buicks, which are being built and will arrive soon. Or you can always call our sales team. They can help you find the correct one just for you. BombChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Here's a supply chain update from your Clinton Save-A-Lot. Owner Dave Jackson here. Workers in retail and restaurants today are doing the best they can under very trying circumstances. That situation is no different here at your Clinton Save-A-Lot. It's been a team effort to keep our shelves stocked with the freshest meat, produce, and items you purchase every day. While many stores have cut hours and services, your Clinton Save-A-Lot has maintained our staffing level and regular hours thanks to my fantastic team of employees. Your Clinton Save-A-Lot appreciates your business, and we hope to see you soon.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
At Central Illinois Outdoors with me, Jared White, we want you to be a part of the program as well via the Archer's Alley Catch of the Week. Each week, we'll select one of your pictures submitted at centralillinoisoutdoors.com and invite you to tell your story of the great outdoors. We're looking for your kid's first catch or even your first big buck. There's a simple, easy form you can fill out on your phone or computer at centralillinoisoutdoors.com. Send us your story, send us your pic. centralillinoisoutdoors.com and the Catch of the Week, brought to you by Archer's Alley, North 22nd Street, in Decatur.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence, and the WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. I got it right that time, Caitlin. Like I joked with you off the air. I think this is a lesson. I can't schedule, the folks in Logan County and the folks in DeWitt County back to back anymore. It's just too much to keep track of. So, but in all seriousness, let's talk a little bit about some programs and classes that you've got going on, Caitlin. What's on your calendar coming up you want to make folks aware of?
So next week, actually this week, I've got our Piatt County class, but the registration just closed. But we have classes next Thursday and Saturday, so July the 28th, or excuse me, the 28th and the 30th. I've got an evening Thursday class and a Saturday morning class, and we're going to talk about preserving. So a lot of people are seeing their gardens hopefully kind of flourish right now. They've got lots of things in the garden, or the produce in their grocery stores is really top notch. We've got farmers markets popping up all around in the summer, and we want to talk about preserving. So having classes, so my Thursday class is going to be canning, both water bath and pressure canning. We're talking about the current up-to-date requirements and recommendations for preserving in those ways. And then the Saturday morning class is going to be topics of fermentation, dehydration, and freezing as options for also preserving different types of foods. And those classes are still open in our Clinton roster. So next Thursday and next Saturday, go ahead and sign up. You can register by calling our office, or if you want to register online, the short link is go.illinois.edu/preserving101. And that'll get you signed up for those classes. I'm super excited because I haven't done these classes in a little while because I think I tapped out my audience in the past couple of years. But for anyone who wants to get started with preserving, needs some updates on what's current in the literature, these are going to be the classes for you.
And for sure. And I need to, at some point, Caitlin, I recognize this. I do need to get in and take one of those classes because I feel like preserving is going to be something that's going to be pretty important coming up in the near future. As I know you and I have talked about, ways to work through inflation when it comes to our food and those sorts of things. But just in general, it's a good life skill to have as well. So I admit I do need to get in and get one of those courses in with you as well. So anything else on the calendar, Caitlin, you want to put out there for us today?
So just a reminder for any K through 12 school admin or school nutrition folks that are on, please sign up for our ABCs of School Nutrition Learning Institute on August the 4th. It'll run all day in our Educator Extension office. And we are partnering with the Macon Piatt ROE to host that. So they're hosting our registration. So you can sign up with them, but that is going to be a free all-day training. It gets credits for your USDA professional standards requirements for K through 12 nutrition folks. So come on out. That's coming up just here in a couple weeks.
All right, put that on the radar. Caitlin, where do folks go to find all the classes and the programs you have coming their way?
So everything that is coming up, as well as programs and classes in other areas of extension, would be at go.illinois.edu/DMP for DeWitt, Macon, Piatt.
Very good. Any other, by the way, Caitlin, I apologize, any other programs or anything of that nature you want to put out there for us?
No, not until fall. So I'll save those for next time.
Yeah, sounds good. And we were catching up a little bit as we were talking in the break, Caitlin, about, after programs, what do we get into? And I wanted to ask you about this because you brought this up in our last conversation, and I wish I would have had the presence of mind to maybe talk a little bit more about it. But you talked about using the grill for some unconventional ways to not only conserve energy but prepare food. You know, and you go to the grocery store anymore, and sometimes you'll come up on the frozen food section, and you get to maybe the pizzas, and there's some pizzas now that put out on the top of their label, great for grilling or something of that nature, implying you can throw that pizza on the grill and prepare it that way. What any tips, any thoughts on, you know, ways we can utilize the grill to save that, you know, save from turning on that stove or that oven in the house, and not only keep the house cooler, keep that energy bill down? Anything you have there for us today?
Yeah, so I invite everyone to think of, I know for me, when I think of a grill, I think of the old school grill grates and foods like falling through the cracks. But we have a lot of equipment. So it's just outdoor cooking. So it can be on a flat surface. So I know the flat top griddles are really popular right now. And also you can buy equipment to put on top of the grill grates with a flat surface. So for something like fish that would be very delicate and likely kind of crumble and fall apart through the typical grill grates, you can have that flat cooking surface so you don't lose your fish to that, or even something that's kind of loose like a vegetable, or you know, it's really hard to grill something really thin like asparagus on your grill if you have directly on the grill grates. So I invite everyone to kind of shift your thinking of, it doesn't have to be just grill grates, it can be just outdoor cooking can be part of that grilling process. So there are some really unusual things that you can maybe not, you might cook on your stovetop inside, take those outside. I know you were talking with me about making salsa on your grill. So you might do something like a tomatillo salsa. So you might buy the tomatillos, like a green salsa, and you can roast those in your oven, but you could do the same thing on an outdoor grill. You could put those onions and the tomatillos and the garlic and the jalapeno all on a rack to be put on your grill. Put the lid on your grill, let those kind of steam / grill, and then you can put those through just your knife if you want a kind of very, very rustic kind of salsa, or you can take it inside and use a food processor to make it much more smooth. But you can heat up your foods in kind of the same way that you might do in an oven. Try those out on the grill. So you talked about pizza, same thing. We're not doing that in an oven, but we can do it on a grill, kind of in the same outdoor cooking kind of way that you might do something like salsa, even something kind of unique like maybe guacamole. So you could have, you maybe don't want to grill the avocado, that might kind of turn into a mush, but you could do some things like the onions or the garlic or the jalapeno that's in the guacamole recipe.
Caitlin,
you can do that on the grill for a really unique twist.
Caitlin, I don't mean to do this to you. Got to let you go. Caitlin Mellendorf, U of I nutrition educator with DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Our guest. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
Took down a gunman who would open fire in a shopping mall and killed 3 people, wounding 2 others.